Okay, so let's jump into our third and final mini section on the ecosystems of Texas. I'm gonna jump into Pro, okay? And we've got a nice looking map. We've got our legend, okay? And notice we need to take out the water bodies. They're really there just for supplemental data. So if we come over to legends, that's all we need is Texas Ecosystems level 3. So let's select these guys and just choose remove. All right, now let's do what we did with our soils map, okay? And so what I would like to do is go back to the catalog, okay? And let's roll some of this up. And let's open up our soils layout. All right, and let's open up this map frame. Okay, so yours might look a little different. It's still drawing. Remember, this was a fairly complex data set, all right, or drawing job for the software. So this worked out really well, and for consistency's sake, I would like to repeat what we did here over in ecosystems. So let's look at what we need, and it's really just this terrain hillshade, okay? And we just brought that in. And let me see what we did here. We used the DRA, all right, dynamic range, and of course that's going to be a normal blend mode because that's at the bottom of our map. And you know, I'm just going to get rid of these guys while I'm here. Anything we don't need, all right? And I want to see, on this tile layer, we made this a multiply, and then this one was an overlay. So let's just repeat this process for ecosystems, all right? So what we're gonna do is, let's get rid of all of these guys, remove, okay? And if your system, if you hear your computer running kind of hard, you can come over to soils and pause this drawing, okay? Because as I said, there's a lot going on there, and we really don't need it to draw everything out. We just wanted to know how this one worked. Okay, so let's come over here, and we're gonna go to the Living Atlas. So that's in the catalog portal, and that nice icon on the end. And let's just type in terrain hillshade. Okay, so we've got the multi-directional, we've got the world hillshade, and we just want this one here. Now we want it at the very bottom of our map, so hold down your left mouse button and drag it all the way down there, okay? And that's gonna take a little bit to draw. All right, and now we need to, let's turn these guys off. So once again, you can see we don't need to turn off the contours actually. But if you click on terrain hillshade, and then you come up to this image service layer, remember these are like the bonus, they're like the bonus categories they give you when you click on certain items, okay? These are your standard tabs, okay? But these guys pop up when you select something special, and they're like, hey, there's things you can do with this layer in here, with this tab. And so that's super helpful because it gives you really the functions that you're going to use with that layer most of the time. And this one is called dynamic range, which we've discussed before. It condenses the whole spectrum from white to black onto your AOI and not across the world. Now, with this one, it's a little different because it is a hill shade and not just regular terrain. But if you go to stretch type and you choose Esri, that can help bump up the contrast a bit. Okay, so this isn't the primary purpose of our map, but it does help. See, that gives some nice definition to our map. All right, and what's the yes, aesthetically it's very pleasing. It makes for a much more beautiful map, but also it helps your viewer understand, oh, okay, this is the ecosystem in the hillshade. Oh my gosh, in the hill country part of Texas, okay? And so you can see the patterns lining up. Okay, this is the ecosystem on top of the mesa, the Llano Estacado. So you can see how the terrain impacts the ecosystem. And not only that, but you can also see how the water does that as well. Okay, the water definitely helps that ecosystem develop. Okay, so let's now go to our ecosystem, and we are going to go to layer blend, and we're going to choose multiply. Okay, and that's too dark. All right, but that's fine because we're going to make a copy of this. So if you right click and choose copy, and then come to your map and choose paste, that's going to work. All right, it's still a little too dark, but I want you to shift and select, not shift, I'm sorry. I want you to hold down your left mouse button and drag that layer on top of your original ecosystem layer. Okay, and now for this guy, the one on top, you're going to come up to feature layer, and instead of multiply, let's try this overlay. Okay, and that brightens it up. That makes it look nice. Now for me, it's you know, a little too rainbow bright, so I'm gonna give it like a 35% transparency, and I think that looks better. Okay, now I'm waiting until the end to do the labeling because that takes a lot of drawing power from your computer. So if you're wondering about that, these features will be labeled, but we'll do that last. Okay, so we've got our water bodies, and let's go to our legend because we have some issues there. It put in the second ecosystem layer that we made. So we need to take these two bottom ones out. So shift, select, right click, remove. Okay, good. We're back to where we started. All right. Now, let's add the county layer, and that's going to be here in boundaries. Okay, so all we want, let's turn off the state boundary. Okay, and we're going to want county or equivalent, and we're not going to use Texas cities either. Okay, now turn on your boundary group with just the counties. Okay, and let's click on your county symbol. All right, and it's at one point, which is, it's kind of distracting here. We just want to give people a reference idea. So I'm going to make this a 0.5. Okay, and that pulls it back a bit. And I'm also going to make this more of a lighter gray color. Okay, so we just have these etched outlines, which look pretty nice. All right, now we can start labeling our ecosystems, okay? And labeling in terms of just this number, okay? So let's click on our bottom ecosystem here. and come up to the top of our screen and go to labeling. Okay, and we don't want to label the USL3 name. Okay, we want the code. Okay, so let's just choose level 3 code. Okay, and then turn on labeling with this. So that needs to be blue. And now let's zoom in and see what we've got. Now see, the labeling process takes a while, and that's why I'm trying to minimize it and wait until the end. Okay, while that's drawing, let's come up here to Arial, to our labeling ribbon, and we know we're going to want these a lot bigger, okay, because this is the primary purpose of the map. Okay, so let's make these a full 16. Okay, and Arial's fine, but we're going to need to put what's called a halo around these. Okay, and so in order to do that, we need to come down to the layer and right click and choose labeling properties. Okay, and we're going to come over to the symbol. Okay, and the symbol in this case is simply the label. Okay, so far Arial 16, the color is good, and then we will go down to halo. Okay, and the halo symbol will be a solid white. Okay, and then make this outline color white. Okay, and the width of the halo, outline width, see, I don't understand why they have outline and halo. It's kind of the same thing. So let's just stick with halo. And the halo size, 1 point is far too big for me, so I'm going to make this a 0.4. Okay, and that should work good. Now, what's happening here is the water bodies that we brought in is starting to draw all of the features, and it looks pretty cool, but I need to see what our layers, what our ecosystem labels looks like. So let's turn off the NHD Texas water body for a second, and let's let our labels draw themselves in. Okay, mine came in real quick once I turned them on, or turned off the Texas water bodies, but I notice I'm labeling the wrong column, the wrong field. Okay, and we simply want these numbers here, 23, 4, 5. Okay, so let's right click on our ecosystems layer and come up to this attribute table, and let's find which field. Okay, so it's US L3 code, not NA L3 code. Okay, so that's the one with the simple numbers we want. Okay, so we come up here to the field, and we're going to look for US L3 code. Boom, that's what we want. Keep it nice and simple. Okay, so I think that's going to work good. Let's give it some time to generate. Okay, so these labels are looking pretty good. I think we're going to need to increase the size of our halo. So let's make this a 0.75. Okay. And they're placed well. And let's make this an Arial bold. So you can twirl that open, and let's choose the bold there. Okay, and that will really make them pop. Okay. All right, so we're looking pretty good. Now, let's do a Control S, save our work. Okay, and now let's pause the drawing because I want to do some final things with you, and I don't want us to get bogged down with the computer constantly having to redraw things. Okay, so for your midterm grade, you've done 90% of the work, really, and you guys have done fantastic work as a class, and I know you're working hard on these. I'm working harder to make these videos better. Sometimes it's hard because you really can't start over, but please know that I appreciate your patience with the video instruction, and I'm really impressed with your notes and your work. Okay, so for your final or for your midterm project, you're going to create a map book, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing now because this isn't the midterm video, but I do want to show you what the pages in your map book are going to look like. Okay, it's basically going to be like this. Okay, but we are going to need to put the credits in, okay, each one of our maps. So you may have your credits locked. All right, so you'll want to bring them up here and draw them out or pull this out so that it is it's all on one line. Okay, and then make this box as small as possible so that way it's going to be easy to line up with this. So then zoom in to your nameplate, okay, and see, I have an error right here that I need to change. Okay, this should say, hold on, let me unlock this. Well, I'll do that on my own time, but some of you don't have this second line centered. Okay, really important that everything is centered here. Okay, and you can use your align tools for that. But zoom in here and right click and just choose add guide, and then you could come over here and drag that down so it's right about there. It should be right on the bottom. Okay, and then you can easily align your credits right here. Okay, and let's call this credits. So I would put my, let's just leave that alone. Normally it says credits in front of that. It's not a big deal. Okay, now what we also need to do, and this is imperative for every map, is put a scale on the map. And I saw a lot of people didn't get this right in the last map. Okay, so the way you put in your scale is come up here to dynamic text, okay, and you're going to choose reference scale, and it should say this 2750,000. Okay, so if you click on that, it's going to give you the crosshairs, and then these smart guides will help you line it right up with your credits, and then you just draw out your box. Okay, and then you can just shift, and the down arrows will move it down a bit and just keep it right where you need it. Okay, now on this map we don't need a north arrow because it's really I think anybody in the world would understand that this is Texas and north is up. Okay, and I like keeping my map simple. Now we also need a title. All right, and so what we're going to do is come up here to graphics and text, and we're simply going to choose this single line text, straight text. All right, and then draw out a box all the way here at the top. Okay, and just put it in like this. All right, and go to general. Okay, and we're going to call this title. And then here is where you can actually write the text here. Okay, and for this one, we're going to call it level 3 ecosystems of Texas. Okay, now under text symbol, let's tab that. Okay, so now we can see it's too big. So let's go to text symbol. All right, and first I found a really cool font called Century Gothic. All right, and I think it sounds weird, but it looks really nice. Okay, and let's change the size on down to a 72, and I think that's gonna work pretty good. All right, and this is a really nice way to make your title pop. So for letter spacing, let's make this 100%. Okay, so that's going to be too much. All right, so let's make that about an 80%. Okay, and then we're going to go back here and we're going to drop this down, let's say to a 60. Okay, so that's perfect. Now, we don't want it all the way at the top there. Actually, where it's positioned now is pretty good. So just use your smart guide and have it aligned right in the middle. Okay, so now obviously we have to move the state of Texas down, which is fine. Okay, so this is important, the way we do this. The only way this can work is if we undo the constrain scale, and the way we can do that is double clicking on the map frame. Okay, and here under fixed center and scale, we need to change this to none. Okay, now be careful, you don't want to zoom in and out or all of this will have to just get redone. All right, and the way you can move the map now is you have to do what's called activate the map frame. So it's almost as if you pushed through the map frame and you're working with the map itself. All right, so to activate it, our old friend right click and come up to the top and choose activate, and the pan tool will appear, which is exactly what we want. Okay, because it's just going to move the state of Texas without zooming in or out. So pull it down to somewhere maybe right around here, and I will need to adjust my legend, but that's fine. But remember, you want to work right about in this range so you're seeing the sheet of paper from a distance. Okay, so I'm going to leave this right about here. I'm going to move my title up when I get out of activation mode, and then I'll move these together, okay, or move this in a different, reconfigure it. Okay, so to get out of activation mode, you can click on layout and close activation, or here under map frame, you can just click on move back to layout. Okay, so far so good. Now, let's move this up, and I'm gonna hold down shift and use my up arrow to do it carefully. All right, and I think that looks nice. Okay, now let's go back to our map frame. All right, and now we can click here, and now we can constrain center and scale. And I want to go over here, and I do want to paint a border, and we're simply going to make it a 0.5, and that way if you put this like on a blank web page or something, you're going to see that it has a nice border. And in fact, we're going to make an inner border as well. So we're going to open this up, and we're going to grab the polygon, and using those smart guides, come up here and draw it and just match up with your guides. Okay, and in fact down here it needs to go to here. Okay, now let's call this rectangle inner border. Okay, and let's make, okay, see, this is super handy because this should be at just 23.3. Okay, and that should be at 35. See, this is all software usually has these property panels, and it's really the best way to work with your elements rather than using the mouse. Okay, now for the symbol itself, we're going to make this a very fine line, so 0.35 should be good. Okay, and that's just going to really make it pop. Now, it is going to be, and I'll show you this when we launch the final process of this whole project, which is putting your map book together. It's going to be super simple to grab all of these elements, do a control copy, come to another layout and paste them, and they're all going to paste right into place. Okay, and all you have to do is just change the name of the title. Okay, so that's the way that'll work. Now, let's finish up this map. I want to do a save. And I am going to turn on, we're going to need to start drawing again. So I'm going to turn that on. All right, and I'm going to turn on the water bodies. Okay, and this may take quite a while. Now, if your map looks good the way you want it and you export it correctly, then you can use this as a page in your midterm, okay, in your map book, okay? So I do want to move this legend, all right? So I'm going to lock my inner border. I'm going to lock my title, all right, text, because I want to move my legend. And I'm actually even going to lock my map frame. So now I have my legend, and unfortunately that first name is really long, which is kind of weird, but okay. So I'm going to leave it like that. Come in here once more. I just want to get this guy lined up. Has it become hard to select these days? There it is. Okay, now the last thing we need to do is, and we're going to need to do this on the soils map as well, is we are going to need to match these colors with the actual colors on the map, because these colors are a bit darker, okay? And there's a simple way to do that. You can just select your legend again, or just come over here and right click if it's hard to select it. And we will choose convert to graphics. Okay. And then we will, oh, it looks like it's, yeah, there's the legend. And so let's just start selecting the patch. So this is 23, okay, and that will be, let's find this 23. Oh God, it's this tiny little area here. Okay, we're not going to worry about that one. Okay, the Chihuahuan Desert. We do want to change that one, so let's click on this guy. All right, and here's how you're going to change these symbols. All you need to do is come in here to the color and grab the eyedropper. And then do you see that little square? It's telling you which pixel it's going to select, okay? And so that makes it darker, and it works a lot better. Now, some of these, like High Plains, are fine. The Southwestern Tablelands, I don't even see that here, but there's some big ones like 31. Let's take a look at that. So we want to darken that one up, and I just realized if you click a second time, you break through the group and you select the individual items. So that's a neat new feature they've adopted. Okay. And again, just do the ones that you really feel like this Edwards Plateau. Definitely want to do that one. Okay. And I'm going to pause the video and do the rest of them. But please remember, this is what makes a good map great, is getting your legend right and really making it as accurate and as elegant as possible. And I really think this is a very nice map. Okay, I'm going to finish my legend process and I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, so that didn't take me too long. Now, one thing that's very important, especially when you've worked this hard on a map and you need to export it, is that you get it in the proper zoom level. So it's a good idea to come to layout and choose full extent, and that centers it and puts it in a location where it's ready to be exported. And so then we're going to come up to share and we're going to export the layout. Okay, let's make sure that it's going in the right place. Okay, so in our project you're going to see these folders, and we are of course going to use the number 10 exports. Okay, and we're just going to be putting it in here. All right, and then all of this can be unchecked, and the output as image, and that image will be inside a PDF. You can choose the JPEG. Okay, and for the quality, now that we're producing our final maps, let's bring that up to about here. Okay, and just leave this vector graphics alone, that's fine. Okay, and then a big thing is for the raster resample, you want that on the best. Okay, so you can just click here to take it to 1. All right, and then be patient and make sure when you do this, you have time, because it can take up to 10 minutes or so for a map that's this complex. Okay, but once it's exported and it's exported correctly, then you have one map finished for your midterm. Okay, so that's it for this lab. And again, you guys are doing really good work, and I've just been really impressed with you guys as a group, and I've enjoyed teaching you guys so far, and I hope we can put this midterm together rather easily, and then we can move on to our next project.